Hi, I'm Greg Regan, President of the Transportation Trades Department, AFL-CIO. I'm here with Congresswoman Nikki Budzinski from Illinois' 13th Congressional District, and this is our latest edition of On the Move with TTD. Congresswoman, thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So a lot of people may not know your deep history in the labor movement, but you are a true friend and ally, and you understand how the labor movement works. How has your past experience and history with the labor movement influenced what you do here in Congress?
Yeah, that's such a great question, Greg. Honestly, working people and advocating on behalf of working people is why I decided to run for Congress in the first place. I'm really proud to be a union dues paying member. I pay dues to UFCW Local 881, and I worked, as you mentioned, collectively in the movement for 10 years for the Firefighters Union, also for the United Food and Commercial Workers Union. I also did a short stint at the Laborers as well. And in all of those different roles, I really got to see and understand the importance of what the labor movement is and does for working people in this country, which, as we know, is safe working conditions, which is still so very important and something we always have to be very vigilant on. Good benefits, good wages, safe staffing standards. These are things that I know the movement has been leading on for generations, and I think getting to come to Congress to advocate from a legislative perspective on those issues is truly an honor. And we've got a lot of great union men and women in my district, and been very appreciative of all of the TTD's support, the Transportation Trade Department's support, the AFL, and working on issues as it relates to transportation, among a lot of other issues that support working people. So it's an honor.
Well, you know, and especially in the transportation world, you know, it's not always about just jobs. It's about the quality of the jobs, about the benefits that really, that's what built the middle class.
Yes.
And it's what we need to go back to in a lot of other sectors as well. Yeah. But this is also, today, is the second anniversary of the historic bipartisan infrastructure law.
Yes.
You know, this is the largest investment in the history of our country in infrastructure. So, you know, what are your priorities in your district for transportation or infrastructure, and how is the infrastructure law helping with those priorities?
It's been an incredible investment in not just our roads and bridges and in transportation, public transportation, but also locks and dams. I have a really interesting district that runs almost to the Indiana border, then to the Missouri border. So, you know, the infrastructure legislation has provided critical infrastructure investments in our inland waterways, which is really important for those of us that are right on the Mississippi River, but also for roads and bridges. I was really excited. I had Secretary Buttigieg come to the district. We were one of only a handful of districts that were able to get a RAISE grant, which is a significant investment for the community of Savoy, which Savoy is just right outside of Urbana-Champaign. They've been working for decades to get a $22 million investment in a grade separation upgrade, which would have helped. It just isn't important from a transportation perspective, but for that community, for economic development. So when you invest in infrastructure, it's not just about public safety, it's not just about good paying jobs, but it is also much bigger for some of these communities in central and southern Illinois. So that was one really exciting announcement that was made possible, and we were able to do it with Secretary Buttigieg. But also some other really big investments like in Metrolink. Senator Durbin and Senator Duckworth have been leading the way on really critical investments, which connects East St. Louis to St. Louis. I represent the Illinois communities on the other side of the Mississippi from St. Louis, but those communities being able to connect to St. Louis itself is really important. So I have a lot of people, a lot of constituents that work in St. Louis but might live in my district. And so investments in Metrolink, it was $196 million in upgrades. Incredible. I'd also highlight in Decatur, Illinois. Decatur is the headquarters of Archer Daniels Midland. We have LG Kim, Macon County, which is where Decatur is located. On a per capita basis, we have more manufacturing happening in Macon County than any other county in the state of Illinois. And it's so critically important that we have infrastructure investments. So we got a rail grant, $16 million investment as a part of this work that President Biden has been able to do. Again, one of the most dangerous intersections in Decatur is now going to get fixed. So from a public safety perspective, it's
So it's great
huge.
crossing.
It is,
Yeah.
and so it creates more safety for the community, for the workers that are on the rail lines, but also it is economic. It's an economic engine. It's going to help some of these new companies.
Well, we've said for years now that it's the greatest economic multiplier. If you're going to spend $1 on anything, you're going to have the greatest economic impact when it's on infrastructure.
Right.
And finally, I got one more question for you. What is your favorite mode of transportation?
Well, this is a hard one to answer, but I guess what I would say is Urbana-Champaign has done a great job of transitioning to hybrid bus vehicles that are low to zero emission. Just in 2022, they were able to move away completely and retire their diesel buses.
Great.
And so now they're 100% low to zero emissions. These are electric. These are very, friendly to our environment. But these investments were again only made possible because of the work of President Biden and last Congress in making these investments. I had the opportunity to ride them. They are some of the quietest buses you'll ever have the opportunity to get a chance to ride on. So I guess that's what I'd say.
Well, and the mandate in the infrastructure, the way it's being implemented is that 5% of all of the money that goes to the low and no emissions bus programs, 5% must go to workforce training. So we're training up workers so they can operate these buses safely, do the maintenance on them properly, and that is, frankly, it's revolutionary that we are investing not only in new stuff but in people, and that is really critical.
That's a really important point. Yeah.
So thank you, Congresswoman. This has been On the Move with TTD and Congresswoman Nikki Budzinski. Talk to you next time.